Hey Julia, this is Callum, and I did the topic of betrayal in the Count of Monte Cristo for my ISU presentation. So, betrayal and deception is a major role in the Count of Monte Cristo, and it's what makes Edmond Dante become the Count. It starts with Ferdinand, Caderousse, and Danglars setting Edmund up with the task of delivering a letter and then picking one up at the Isle of Elba, and that's where Napoleon is exiled. He's unaware, but he's committing treason. So he's taken to jail, after which Ferdinand marries his wife and they have a child. Plays a major role in the book. Cara really hated Edmund. That was his only motive. And Edmund trusted all of them, and he got betrayed. So the book is really complicated, and we can look at the 3 or 4 main characters who are conspiring against Edmond Dantes in the book. And they betrayed the trust of their friend, and one of them just betrayed their civil duties. So the first is Fernand Mondego. He's played by Guy Pearce in the movie. He was the best friend of Edmund, but he was always jealous of his life, mostly his fiancée, Mercedes. He loved her enough to commit heinous acts against humanity for her. He continued to wrong people after he wronged Edmund. His friend Ali Pasha, who he was to protect from the Turks but ended up selling him out. He was from Greece. And then he sold his family to slavery. His daughter Hades purchased by the Count, and she testifies, and then she's set free. So after all this comes out, he has his reputation destroyed. The Count publicly reveals all this information, and he commits suicide in the end. The next character we can look at is Mr. Villefort. He's the prosecutor who deals with Edmund's case. So he knows that Edmund was framed, but the letter Edmund is carrying incriminates his own father. So he burns the letter and he condemns Edmund to the Chateau d'If, which is a very notorious prison off the coast of France and the Mediterranean. When the Count gets out, he learns of Villefort's attempted infanticide on his illegitimate child, so he tried to kill his own kid. And he uses the same tactic that he did with Ferdinand and exposes him. He goes insane and loses his family. But after this, the Count has a slight change of heart after seeing Villefort ripping his own hair out, looking for his dead son, who he believed to be dead, but he was alive. He decides the new fate of this guy after that. This guy was the ringleader of the initial plot. His name is Danglars. I forget his first. He leaves. He knows that. So he wanted Edmund's job, but he flees Marseille before he becomes captain, fearing he will be exposed by Edmund in some way. He makes some money in shady business deals. Edmund doesn't do the same to Danglars as he did Ferdinand and Villefort, though. He sets him up, knowing his greed, with some bad deals that will leave him broke over a short amount of time. As he's about to run away with the last bit of his money, the Count sets him up to be robbed, where he exposes himself as Edmond Dante to Danglars. So he realizes what he's done, what has happened now, and maybe he learned a lesson about betrayal. He's broke, and he has nobody around him. So after these events, he does do some good, though. He takes Villefort's daughter, Valentine, saves her from death at the hands of her stepmother. She was in love with Maximilian Morel. That's the son of the Count's old boss. And he believes her to be dead when the Count puts her in a coma with drugs. to save her. After a month of mourning his love and contemplating suicide, the Count reveals that Valentine is not dead, and Maximilian is ecstatic. As the Count says, he experiences true ecstasy after being at the lowest point in his life, and he and Valentine go on to live their lives together. And he finds love too. The slave he bought, Haiti, professes her own love for him, and they go on to live with the Count's vast riches.